off.
Yeah, so I just arrived from Byron Bay actually. So I flew in a few hours ago, and it was a lot warmer there than here, so that's why I'm wearing a jacket. No, it was only one day, because we run our program even in Byron Bay. So I was there last night doing the same as I hope to be able to do with most of you here. Yeah, so running a program for people who are interested in creating some value for somebody else. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be a business or anything. It can be quite diverse. For example, you could do a not-for-profit, or you could do a social enterprise, or you can do a commercial enterprise, or you can become a unicorn. Anybody knows what a unicorn is? Have you heard of that term? There's lots of that kind of buzzwords in the startup scene. Those are the ones that make $1 billion.
Oh.
We're into that.
Yeah, exactly. So not stopping you, yeah. So we're doing. I was here at. I was asked. I came from Melbourne. I was at Swinburne working, and I was asked to come here to create this program at Flinders New Venture Institute. Because, and that was about 2.5 years ago, and the reason was that Flinders said, well, you know, we have all these students, but you know, they really struggle to find a job, and you probably you say the same. You see you already nodding, yeah. So, and then the vice chancellor, so that's the boss of the university, right? He said, we got to do something about it. We got to teach our students skills so they can help themselves better. They can create their own jobs, maybe even. But even if they want to work somewhere else, then they're proactive, they're innovative, they can create new, they can create change, because we need to be able to create change, because the environment around us is changing so fast. We need our students to be prepared for that. And so we set out to create programs for that, and then one of them was also Venture Dorm. And Venture Dorm has really grown since then. As I said, we run it now in Byron Bay, in the Limestone Coast. We're going to run it in the Barossa Valley. We hope to run it here also in Mount Barker, and we run it in Adelaide. And what we do is, as I said, we just get people in who have an idea and think, well, I can create value for other people, or I can have an impact on something. You know, I want to change something. And if you have that, you're welcome to participate in Venture Dorm, and we help you during 8 weeks to develop your idea further. Because what you will hear from these entrepreneurs here, and I was an entrepreneur for a very long time. I'm originally from Holland, and I got my first job in 2012. I'm 53 now, so I was 46. I never worked before I was 46. Not because I was unemployed, but I was always doing my own businesses as well. And these people too. You know, it's helpful if you have a bit of help. In my time, there was no help, and you just did something yourself. You made a lot of mistakes. If you now can have a bit of help, you know, that can prevent you from making mistakes. That's what we're there for. We really there to help you build your skills in creating something new, and that's how you should see it. And all the other buzzwords or you know, things, like I said, the unicorns, don't forget about that. First start, yeah. You start from 0, and then you try to get a 1. There was one entrepreneur in America, he said, it's easy to go from 1 to 100, but from 0 to 1 is the most difficult part. Okay? So you start from 0, you get to 1. And so we are here to hopefully explain a little bit more about life of an entrepreneur. But entrepreneur in Australia, I have found is often has a bad name, has a bit of especially from the 80s, 70s, you know, there were crooks and people there who were not the best examples, and so it may not be the right word, but I think it evolved a lot since then. And there's so many now business owners, people created new ventures who are doing so well, and also at the same time really changing how we do things and how we live together and how we help each other perhaps as well. So I think it really changed in that sense, and I want to talk about it tonight as well. And I hope that's what you will get out of this conversation that we'll have, a conversation with entrepreneurs, that you will go home and think, oh, yeah, that could be something for me. That is something that I would like to try. That's something that I would want to give a go for 8 weeks and then see where I get to. And if we achieve that tonight, then I will be very happy. Do I need to say more, or is there?
No, that's all right. Yep. We'll talk a little bit more about it.
New Ventures Institute?
No, that's all right. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe we'll go on to the panel and go from there.
So you had beautiful pictures behind me, right?
Oh my God, this
Janice?
ago.
This is Janice, isn't it?
Janice.
Janice. Sorry, I'm Dutch, right? I don't
No, Jan.
Easy,
Oh,
Jen.
it's easy.
So first start with Jen, and we had a really interesting conversation as well already before we even started. So we're going to have hopefully some great stories from you. So Jen, to introduce yourself just briefly in a few sentences, how would you describe yourself?
I'm a student of life, I think. People. I'm an avid learner, and then I'm always encouraged by my father, who's a headmaster, and saying, get the knowledge and then you can get into doing what you want to do. And that's what I did.
Yes.
I will tell you I'm 87, and don't say, oh, isn't that wonderful? Yes, it is. But being a well 87 is more important to me.
Yes.
And that was my biggest project, was to keep my life in balance with nature. I love my plants, I love my garden. I've always been taught about those sort of things, that nourishes you and people. And then my life story evolved into not ever being an entrepreneur. It was doing things for me. And then people said, well, how can you be like that, Jan? This young mums. Where do you get your energy from, Jan? I said, I don't know, I just eat well, I suppose. And then, no, truly, I just eat well.
Yes.
Not too much, the right foods.
Yes.
Anyway, so I studied. I did a lot of study, and I didn't know why I was studying.
What did you study?
I did biochemistry and nutrition, which was really interesting. And I wanted to be a good student to whoever I was supposed to be relating to, for myself as well. And I was going off to Coffin Bay, you probably know where Coffin Bay is, over on the peninsula. I was going for the holiday, and I thought, well, I'll take a few books with me. So I went down to my basement and I bought a few books and came back and got terribly excited. They're books about eating the right foods. And this is before the hippie days, I'm telling you, I'm an old girl. So when I came back, I thought, now I know what I want to do. I want to study biochemistry and nutrition. I want to know why and how it happens. So, no classes. I just went up to the lady who was the head of the biochemistry department at Adelaide University, very cheeky, and I said, my name is Jan Loeb. I'd like to study your course. She said, look at me, and she said, you over 20? I was 34. And she said, well, we don't take old people. No, that was the start. So I said, okay, I'm never daunted. If I believe in something, I'll keep working on it. And she said, well, how can we work this? I said, I don't know, but I'm quite happy to sit at the back of the class and not be a nuisance, but I want to learn. I did that. She put up with me. I used to come up with questions at the end of the class. But all these young ones said, what's she doing here? And look at that old lady. This is going back a long time. However, it's going back 50 odd years. However, she picked me up and literally took me across the road to the medical school. And she said, the guy who's head of medical school, this lady needs to be taken into the medical training. And I was so excited because I'm all fired up. And he looked at me and he said, I know you. And I said, I know your face. He said, yes, we're at school together at Unley High School. Isn't that great? So I became a student there. I had no credentials for the tremendous amount of yearning to learn. So that's what I did.
Yes, yeah. And when did you start your business, Janice?
Well, it wasn't a business. This was for me.
Yeah.
And it's a
When
very
was that? In
different.
what year?
Pardon?
In what year did you found your business?
We didn't register it until 1987, but I started it I bought the farm at Echunga in 1981.
Yeah.
I was led to it. You got to believe me. If you can be led to something, I was led to it after a disastrous day looking at other properties. And this woman said to me, the agent, she said, the last of the list, but she said, I don't think you'll be interested in this property. And I said, well, try me, because the others were not suited. And she said, very old building, cottage is falling apart, it's dry, there's no water. And I said, just take me there. So my husband and I went with it and looked at the house, and it was full of rats and mice and possums and anything that could creep and crawl. And I thought, that's fine, it's good solid brick wall. So went outside and I looked across the paddock, dry, dam was dry. I thought, no, there's something here, I don't know what it is. So I left my husband and the agent at the back by the house, and I walked out, and the few old cows, the farmer had left them, just walked off the property. And I thought to myself, I want to love this place. It needs loving, it needs caring for. And there's something telling me to do that, and I thought, oh, hang on, Jan, get your act together here. So anyway, I walked back up to my husband and I said, I want to buy this place. And he said, no way. I said, yes, I want it. I don't know why, but I want it. I bought it. And this is a long story, I'll make it very quick.
Yes.
Having bought it, there was a lady who sent a letter to me. Her name was Mrs. Cuff, bless her heart. Mrs. Cuff was disappointed, and this is really my whole life, so this is why I'm telling you. I'm getting hot in here.
Yeah. You check it out.
I will. She wrote this letter and said, I'm so disappointed you got the property before I did. So she said, I don't know what to do now, I'm so disappointed. And I thought, well, I'll invite you to the farm, which I did. And she came, the poor old darling, she was in the 60s. I wasn't much younger. And she's carrying an oxygen bottle. I thought, God. Anyway, she said, you know what's so important about this place? And I said, well, I have a feeling about it. I don't know what it is. She said, well, you see that peak over there? That's Mount Barker. And she said, there's something that comes from there, from the Aboriginal grounds, that goes right across this property up to Uluru. I said, really? And she said, really? And she said, it's a ley line. And I said, well, what line? She said, a ley line, L-E-Y, it's an energy line. That's what I felt when I was there. And I've used that as my absolute truth everywhere I go to talk about the farm, because it's got more energy on there. I mean, I'm full of energy, but that farm really beats me. And now it's organic and biodynamically certified, and I'm making wonderful things.
And all lots of products now.
Oh,
Yes, and so you're saying you started in mid-80s, this business?
no, I didn't start the business till I registered in 87,
Yeah.
but I've been doing it as a small clinic called Beauty Through Nutrition, because what it was doing, I was giving people good food to make their skin. I didn't even make product. I'd say, go home and get a bit of honey and put it on your face, or if it's oily, get a bit of yogurt, and or mix up this. So I used to make stuff and put it in the fridge at my little clinic,
Yes.
and they'd take it home and, I can do better than this. So I brought my biochemistry forward. I did a lot more study on herbal studies, and then I really did get into that very thoroughly. Then I did 2 or 3 years of herbal studies, and I couldn't get any of this. There's no courses in Adelaide in those times. I wanted to learn massage. The only place that taught massage in Adelaide was for the prostitutes. I'm serious. I tried all these things. I didn't try that.
That's a profession too.
Anyway, massage was a problem. So I went over into Victoria into and learnt from 2 Swedish masseurs. I spent 3 weeks there. I created my own lessons with them.
Yes.
And then I wanted to learn more about herbal studies, and there was a college in New Zealand called the Australasian College of Herbal Studies. I have no credentials other than knowledge. There were no courses so I could sit and do the exam. I had done one exam in my life, and that was an international one.
Yes.
And that was in Europe in 1981 in Vienna. And that's where I was acknowledged, and then next thing I find I'm lecturing over in Europe more than I'm doing in Australia, because they found my approach to skin health very different.
Nice.
Mm.
Well, this was your introduction.
Sorry.
If we go like this, we'll be here till 9 o'clock tonight.
I've been around a long time.
I could listen to you forever. I couldn't have a crook
So,
from just
we're going to pray now, pray Parks,
Oh.
from Gathering Grace. Well, yours. When did you
I
start
can't remember
your?
how to like go
When
after
did you?
that.
When did you? When did you start thinking about your idea? When was that?
Well,
when did you?
So I found this pressure when I finished school. I'm like 27 now. I found this pressure when I finished school that I had to go to uni, and then I just went like I did a course after a course. I love design and I love food. I'd always worked in hospitality, so I studied design studies at Adelaide Uni. I probably did like 2 years of it, and I just couldn't sit in front of a computer all day every day. It's just not. I'm not there.
Yeah.
And so then I went into teaching, so I was like, I love people, and then I still just did like a year of that because I couldn't focus on something. And so I went into TAFE and I did interior design there, and I loved it. Hands-on, you're talking to people, there's no like, you'll fail if you don't hand it in on time. It was my kind of learning. And then I was studying that online, working full-time, and I was working at this design firm, and I used to just do the cheese platters on a Friday afternoon because I loved it. And we're right next to the Central Markets. And then I just, would upload a photo, and people were like, oh, like Ryan, my partner, would go, would have friends around, and I'd always be doing the cheese platters. So I then we had this big exhibition at the design place I was working, and I did this massive grazing table, and it was in the big, probably like 2 meters by 2 by 3 or something. And it was in like November of 2016, and it was just I put a photo up on Facebook or something being like, my name's Brie, so Brie and cheese, it's just this pun,
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
whatever, cheesy Brie.
Yes.
And so then I put this photo up, and then I started getting, over that Christmas period, I did a few friends' birthday parties, and I was like, oh, my idea of food, the 2 good things about it are, I think it brings people together, and you're always talking, and you're always having fun when you're around good food. So I thought of it, I was annoying my partner a lot, being like, what about this name? What do you think about this? And it went from being like a weekend hobby to I created a Facebook page, and then I was still working full time Monday to Friday, and then every weekend it was like I'd be helping a friend's birthday, and then it got to my first booking that it was from no one that I even knew. And then so this is in 2017, Ryan and I went overseas for a couple of weeks, and I had to say no. I was just getting emails. I just created a Facebook, and I had an Instagram, and I just created an email address for people to email me and book functions. And while we were away for 8 weeks, I just said no to 85 functions, and it just went from like, oh, maybe I'm enjoying this more than I'm enjoying my 9 to 5. Why am I still doing that 9 to 5? So we decided while we were away, that I'd get a website made and, put all this time and effort into doing this. And then I got back from overseas and quit that job. I really loved it as well. The people were amazing. And then I was just like, okay, I don't really know where to go from here. So then it went from a year of, I was using my friend's cafe after hours to prep for functions. And then it was just a lot of driving and unpacking and storing serveware at home and things like that. So to be, weekends of functions. And then last year, it was just getting really tiring having to do like all the, not having my own space. That was driving me nuts and driving him nuts. So I was looking at places up here in Harndorf because I was working at a cellar door up here. And then I got sent this email, and I was just like, this can't be real. I thought it was like a Nigerian prince scam kind of thing. I was like, what is this? Like, kind of not too expensive rent on King William Road in Unley. And then I was like, I replied asking to see it, and it was a shell, like it was on the start. So when you're driving down Greenhill Road, you turn onto King William Road. It was just there, like it wasn't in the heart of it, because I didn't want anything to I wanted people to be able to like stop in. And then the idea went from like, this could be a good idea to like, I didn't stop talking about it until it became it. And so we like signed that, and I could use my like interior design skills I learned through studying to do the whole fit out, and then it became like my space. And we opened in October last year, and then it's been like I blinked and it's almost September.
It's a
so-
year, yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily it was good because I designed the fit out, and then Ryan, my partner's a plumber, so I
It's handy.
yeah, handy at the time. And then we did like this 6-week bulk fit out period of everything, and it was I've learned so much since that whole time.
Mm.
Yeah, employing staff. Like I didn't think I'd have that. Okay, I wouldn't think a year ago I'd be here, because a year ago I was painting like this cladding, like with this tiny brush, and I didn't really know what was going to happen next.
No.
But yeah, that's
No, but that's part of the whole experience, that you don't really know what's going to happen next. Right? You're not getting a paycheck anymore at the end of the month. All of a sudden, it's nothing. Yeah.
I had this thing. I watched this like a similar presentation to this, and there was this girl called Elise Tran. She's from Adelaide too, and she has a handbag label called The Daily Edited, and I saw her. She said this thing, and it's like stuck with me since I think it's like late last year sometime.
Yeah.
And she said every week she writes down 5 different ideas, and even if she doesn't like use one of the ideas straight away, she like I've got now my diary. It's like the back 5 pages are just like all random notes. Like it could be something for Valentine's Day next year, or like a Christmas special, or a sandwich idea, or something like that. And then you never like your brain never stops ticking. Because I find like if I don't do it one week, I'm like, oh my god, it's been like a month, and I've just been doing the same thing every week. So yeah, that's like my yeah. But I'm not constantly just like, what do you think about this?
Yes. No, I totally understand.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I think,
Well,
down the
great.
line.
Yeah, fantastic. Our third guest is Trudy Dixon, director of the Ambleside Distillers. You must have started drinking.
I've been drinking for a lot of years, a lot of practice.
Yes.
I still pitch myself and go, I've got a bar in my backyard. It's just incredible.
Because for everybody making gin, huh?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's this thing is gin. Can you tell how you got to start a gin?
Yeah, well,
business?
Gin's the fun story. I guess just a little bit taking a step back is, and a lot of people might be able to relate to this. All through my life, I've just had these business ideas that I've explored. So it's just been a part of my nature through my life, really, and it hadn't led anywhere until I was employed. And you hear things that people say, don't you, and they stick with you. And I heard this interview on radio about business, and someone said, some expert said, if you haven't started a business by the time you're 26, you'll never start one.
By the time you what?
26.
Oh, that is nonsense. That is nonsense. That is so absolute.
Vouch for that one.
Totally nonsense. All the research shows it's different.
Yeah. I opened my first business at 43, so it's totally.
Yes.
So I opened my first business because I was made redundant and had an opportunity to jump into the market that I was made redundant from, and I thought I can make a success of this. And one of the things about myself, you said, tell us a bit about yourself, is I just have this unwavering belief that I know I'll always be okay. So you've got that underlying belief in yourself. I think that's really important, and being able to take calculated, careful risks is really important. So yeah, I had this long established business that's been going for 10 years, and still lots of business ideas swirling around in our head. And our son was living in London and working, and we went to visit him, and he pushed us to go and see a distillery in London. I think maybe he had a secret agenda there. And yeah, Steve and I walked into this shed and saw all this amazing equipment and spoke to the guys and just fell in love with the story, and we just thought, how cool would it be to make gin in our backyard? And that's really where the dream began, and it was a dream. Like I said, we've had lots of other business ideas. So once we started that dream, it was really about exploring it and making sure that it did make sense from a financial point of view, because it's great to be romantic about things, but at the end of the day, when you're in a commercial business, it's got to be profitable. So we spent 3 years researching and planning and learning a lot. Learnt so much. I think I informally became a botanist and a scientist and a mathematician, learning about the industry. And yeah, we finally launched almost 2 years ago, and we employ 10 staff now, and yeah, it's been a very fun journey.
And Bray, how many staff do you employ?
At the moment, think there's 8. 8.
Jen?
Yeah.
And Jen? No, yes.
Do you want to know?
No, but
You don't have to pay the bill. It's 35.
yeah. So the reason why I asked this is that now more and more councils in the regions are thinking, we need to get more businesses like yours, yeah, because it not only creates business, but it also creates employability and people get jobs and in the old days you say, well, we need more manufacturing here, or we need more this or that, and now it's just create new business, and they're all very different. But again, from the research that we know, is that businesses like yours are the ones that create the new jobs in Australia. Yeah, they're not the big businesses. The big businesses have created very little new jobs. They're very stable. They've not created many new ones. They're very efficient. They don't create many new jobs. All the new jobs that we had since last 10, 15 years come from businesses like you. People create new business and then go from 0 to 35 or 0 to 12, 10 and 12. Yeah. So that is something that obviously the councils start to notice and start to support as well. And that's one of the reasons why we are here as well. I like what you, I think it was you, Trudy, said, there's risk involved, right? And I think some of you may think here, is it not too risky? I got so many things to take care of. Can I take that step? And entrepreneurs, they're just wild risk takers. That's what you read in the newspapers. They run. I tell my class sometimes, people think, entrepreneur just goes to the edge of the cliff and then jumps off. That's what a lot of people think. But I think it's the contrary. I think entrepreneurs go to the edge of the cliff, study the cliff for days, and see where can I go down, and then go slowly down. And I think that is something that you may be interested in hearing as well from you. How did you cope with it? And I'll start with Jen. How did you deal with that? The pressure of thinking about the risk and the uncertainty.
I didn't.
No,
It was stupid.
No,
It was stupid.
Yes.
I believe everybody. I trust everybody.
Yes.
However, I was lecturing in Vienna in 1981, and somebody asked me if he came to Australia, would I show him around?
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. That was 1981.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2 years, he had me sponsoring to come out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I sponsored him.
Mm-hmm.
I was stupid.
Yes.
Because in 1985, when I went back to lecture in Helsinki, I finished up coming home to a lab that was empty,
Oh, okay.
taking everything.
Oh my goodness,
Everything.
that's horrible.
I'd created a name for the company, and I won't tell you because you'd know immediately who that person was.
Yeah.
It started with Jan, it's not Jan. And that person has taken everything from there. So I thought, well, there's a lesson learned. I got the 2 big drums and put a door there, and I started again because all the furniture was gone.
Awful.
Anyway,
Awful.
that was my welcome back. Anyway, so then,
And sorry to interrupt you, but this is also something that entrepreneurs must have, resilience. It's not just say,
you
well,
don't stop.
you don't stop, eh? No.
Follow your heart.
Yeah.
Follow your soul, telling you what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because that is so important.
Mm.
You can't, if you get knocked, as I got knocked particularly, and you give up, they've won.
Mm.
He hasn't won with me.
No, never.
No, he hasn't.
No.
But then I didn't learn from that, and then I was giving a lecture in Guangzhou in China, and somebody heard me there and said, I know exactly how we can work together. They're from England. Same scenario, big disaster.
Oh gosh, 2
Yeah.
disasters.
And yeah, 2. No, I've had a 3rd.
One.
I'll be honest, I'm
Yes.
not stupid.
No,
I
but it
trust,
happens.
and it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
And the other people
that's
we're from Asia. I won't give you the country, but they're from Asia. But now, I've got people that have worked with me, and I've trained in their countries, Japan and New Zealand and Singapore and Malaysia, and they're beautiful people, and they've given me faith again. And my product's going out with the right people. It's not going out because it's making money. No, it's fixing skin.
Yes.
That's the difference of
Yes.
the attitude.
Yes. Yes. Good.
So,
Good. Oh, great story, though. No, that shows, ups and downs. Huh?
everybody will have them, but
It's
not
a roller
stupid
coaster,
as
isn't
me.
it? It's up and down. You go up and you feel really good, and then you go down, and it's like
But
that.
you've got to be resilient.
Yes.
You've got to believe
Right.
it.
What about you?
What was that question? I got
So
very
that-
distracted
well,
by
about
answers.
how do you cope with the
Sorry.
uncertainty of,
Oh.
of, you know, your business and do you know, are you awake up night and,
Oh.
do you sleep well or not? And,
I didn't think I had anxiety before this started, and then you wake up like, okay, yep, no, we're fine. And then I think I saw this photo, this like paragraph that was like the life of an entrepreneur. Like I don't think I'm one at all. I've just tried and I'm still trying, and you know, it's not like I don't know. You know, you said 0 to 1. I don't know where my 1 is, so
No.
I don't know whether like am I at 1 or 10 or
you're
I don't
fine.
know. Yeah,
You got 10 people
You're
working for you. You're-
creative.
You're
I
in
don't know
one.
what my
Very
what's my
creative.
maybe I don't know, what's my 1 point to get further. But
Yeah.
this photo said like, yeah, the life of an entrepreneur. It's like 1, like this is great, I love it. 2 is like, oh my god, this is shit. I'm like the worst. This isn't working. Like I'll never do this again. And then it's like back to 5. They're like, yeah, I love it.
Yes.
Work every day.
Yeah.
And that's literally like every week is like that. It's
Yes.
not. And it's hard because I think maybe with my age group or people, when you're trying to promote things online and social media platforms, like you need to be like, this is the best all the time, when it's not the best all the time. Like it's fun and you need to like, you know, you're doing this thing for you and because you enjoy it, but it's like, you know, some days people aren't nice either sometimes, so you need to know to not like, and I think you need to, yeah, I've learned to not take everything to heart 90% of the time, because sometimes it's like, ugh. Or just like, and you can have a cry, like it's not bad to have a cry, it's
No,
fine.
no.
But it's like, you're still having I still love like every day of it,
Yeah.
even if it's like days are harder than others,
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if resilience is I'm not brought up to, I'm a hard on sleeve kind of operator, so everyone's like, I think you're either like that or not as well, so.
And how do you sleep?
I go to bed really early, like 8:30, and I wake up at 5 every day. So it's
Okay.
like, no, I
That's good.
sleep a lot
That's
better
good.
That's,
now.
that's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I definitely like hit the pillow and
Yes.
sleep.
Yes.
Yeah, and at it again.
It's really. Yeah.
So you didn't for a little while.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah, well, fear is incredibly crippling,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I think it's just something that you have to learn to deal with in terms of
Yeah.
going off that cliff. You know, really, I felt comfortable to do it both times because financially I could see that I could make it work. It made sense. It was logical and planned, and you know, had that sort of backing. But I think just generally speaking, there's lots of challenges that you'll come up against in business all the time. And I just have one question that I ask myself: what is the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
And when you think about what is the worst thing that can happen, it's really not that bad.
No.
So
I think I've said that to myself.
everything's
like,
going to be
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. That's the next question that I would like to ask all of you. And that's something that I came across 10, 15 years ago. There's this study they did with people who started their own businesses. And they asked them, you know, why do you want to start your business? And they were thinking, well, because they want to become rich, yeah? They want to make money or things like that. And that's never the case. So that's one myth already. That's not, you don't start your business because you want to become rich. Yeah, that's whenever
It's
you
a
ask.
reason to start it.
Yes, and then they ask people, you know, how do you then deal with these uncertainties around financial, and when do you decide to do a business or don't? And then what they found is that most successful entrepreneurs now said that they would do an opportunity, they would pursue an opportunity if they could afford to lose it. So it wasn't about the amount of money they could win, but could they afford to lose it, then they would say yes. And that's what you're saying now as well. It's very interesting. So it's much more, can I afford to lose this? You know, I don't have to put everything on there, on the you know, how do you say it? On the line. But can I afford to lose this, and then I do it? And then you sleep better, I guess, as well. Right?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest pressures in business is financial pressure. So
I agree.
you really have to
Totally.
tick that box and have backup plans and
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
comfortable with what you're doing. Don't
But I like
yourself.
what you said as well. That you said, you know, you get this self belief that after a while it will come. You know, it will happen.
Everything will be okay.
It will be okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting too. Yeah.
And you have belief in yourself and
Yeah.
what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And if other people want to be greedy, their problem.
That's true.
A lot of people have told me, like, I think I've heard this many times before, it's like, you're not going to be the best business in a year. It's not going to be like everything you ever think of like straight away or overnight. It's like, it'll be a couple of years and you'll see it grow in front of you, rather than it's not going to be like, all right, I started this business, when's it going to, get going? But it's
Are
like
you-
self-motivation.
Are you break even with your business, Trudy, as well? That's really good. Yeah. So a lot of business break even means that you don't lose any money anymore, right? So you make as much as that your costs are. So you don't make any money, but you don't lose money either. And a lot of businesses lose money for a very long time. Yeah. You have the very famous businesses like Amazon and Airbnb and all those. They were losing money for 7 years. Yeah, 7 years of not making money. How about you? How long did you go for?
After my debacles all the others, it took me about 15 years before I was dipping into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it can take a long time sometimes.
But you've got the assets, but they've just got to be applied. In other words,
Exactly.
I had all my formulations
Yes.
and I had my knowledge.
Yes.
Nobody could take them from me.
No. No, or you have investors, right? They help.
No.
So this is my next question.
They're a problem.
Yes. Tell me more. Why do you think that?
Because they want to come and change the processes.
Yes.
And when you start off and you know that you're working and bringing plants and people together for the general health of what you're trying to do,
Yes.
then they say, oh no, we can slip this in that. I know we can't slip that in the product. It's not from plants, And so,
So you lose control. Yeah.
well, they tried, but
Yeah.
they didn't get anywhere.
No.
Because that's my
Yes.
my strength, is that I'm not going to have anybody to explode and disseminate all this that I've worked for.
And that's a choice you make. Yeah.
Yeah, my work you do, and you struggle with
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But you
Sometimes
believe it, and you
yeah.
know it's going to be all right,
Yeah.
don't you? You
Yeah,
believe
thank
it's going to be all
Same for
right.
you too as well, manifestors?
No, mine's just my baby.
No, I know investors. I couldn't. It's hard enough working with my husband and myself. Having to let someone else make decisions because I'm just not sure of myself.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work for me, but it can work.
Yes.
It just wouldn't work.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I've got friends that have got cafes, so like one of my good friends, he's got a cafe and he's got like maybe 4 businesses, but he's got investors in all of them. So it's not just, whereas I have this like, I'm not like a OCD control thing, but it's like, it's my kind of thing. It's the way it's grown under my eyes. I couldn't really have someone else unless it was completely silent and they paid me to make the business, like it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be mine anymore. Like, I mean, it's mine and Ryan's, but that's, he's a smiler and a nodder, like, yeah, great idea.
It is interesting because there's different roads of growth. Yeah, so you can grow with investors, or you can grow on your own cash flow. You make money, and then you save that, and you invest it again into the growth of your business. And those pathways are both, are good pathways. They're not one is not better than the other, so to speak. But from the press and from around us, everybody's saying, "Oh, you need investment this and investors there," and there's Shark Tanks of this. Well, anybody watching Shark Tank? Right? Because it's in itself, it's a lot of theater. Yeah, it's really not how we work. If you think Shark Tank is how we work here at Flinders, it's not at all. Yeah, and what you hear as well is not like Shark Tank. And I think that's important for everybody to realize here as well. You don't need to work like that, or you don't need that kind of theater to grow your businesses. There was one story around how you can grow your own business. Is that the richest man in the world for a very long time was a guy from Sweden. What business do you think he founded? IKEA. That's right. Yes, IKEA. And he did that with
Very little.
his own cash flow, for very little. And so he never got any investment. He owned IKEA 100%. So that's why he was so rich, because he owned the whole thing by himself. So those are ways to go, right? It's not impossible to grow a business like that either. It's not, you don't need to look for a business.
I was thinking like from how I described how I started Gather and Grade, whatever. If I found it was quite an organic growth, like it went from being like a hobby to it it was my every weekend and my midweek was emails and that kind of thing. And then when I listened to your part about being calculated and organised, I was like, oh God, I kind of wish I could have taken a step back now and been like, all right, maybe I'll do this and that's what I'll aim for. It kind of just all happened. But we got the catering side that I had the cash flow to then start I wouldn't have expanded like that if I couldn't have, because that was scary. Yeah.
But I think that's a really important fact too. I mean, we had a plan and a strategy, but 6 months later that all goes out the window.
Yeah.
So, you don't want to sit around for 6 months just planning. You've got to pull the plug. I mean, we just got to the point where I just set an open date and we're opening that day, and then it was total chaos. So
My opening day was like...
Yeah, but you just got to...
But that's part of it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, for everybody here, if you think you need to write a business plan first before you can do venture arm, then forget that. We don't do that kind of style of startup development anymore. You start to do it from day one. You don't. Your planning is important, but you don't write plans anymore, because plans, what's that?
Plans can definitely change.
Yeah, Mike Tyson, the boxer. Have you heard of him? He's a world champion boxer. He said he wasn't the smartest guy, but he had one smart thing. He said, well, you can make a plan for every fight, but that changes as soon as you get a hit in the face.
Exactly.
You get a hit in the face, your plan is out, and that's sort of what plans do. Yeah, they're pointless. As soon as you've written them, they're already old.
Yeah.
I have a daily plan. I have a daily plan of how I'm going
that's
to
important.
work, and
Planning is important.
but
that.
not an overall plan. If
No.
I don't keep to that, will the end of the world come?
No. No.
I would like to say one thing
Yes.
here. If you show fear in any business, people will pick that up. Working with women who are carers in beauty therapy and massage and all that sort of thing that are in our clinics, confidence is a big thing. And if these ladies see the person who started the business going, oh, it's going to be a recession, you don't do that. You encourage them to do more of what they do well, and you'll feel so good once you've done that. And not me, but the girls, they say, oh, Jan, we just wait for you to come down and tell us to behave ourselves, and it's jokingly, but it's encouragement, and it's showing them why they're working. You're trying to do things that not a lot of people are doing, but you're doing it so beautifully, and they are, and you give them. I've had women live with me about 15, 20 years. They're getting old like me, but that they feel and they love being part of.
And how hands-on are you still in the business?
Well, my hands-on, I used to have my own clinic, my own naturopathic clinic, and I did quite a lot of hands-on then. And now, as I'm getting older and I'm doing far more formulating, I've always done the formulating, I'm doing far more, and I'm also working in the laboratory with the making. And then I have my quiet time where I'm creating and other things, like you. I've got so many ideas. I think, oh God, you could live to 100, Jan. Because
you're not going to retire. Let's put it that way.
No way.
No, that's boring, isn't it?
If you retire, you finish up in the nursing home.
Yes, you don't want to do that.
No,
Brain's
not
still
me.
ticking.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing you said as well. And that's what our program is based on learning. And so we don't
Learning,
we don't just tell you what to do. We want you to learn how to do it. And that's a very big difference with a lot of programs like this, where you come in and then some expert tells you what to do, and then he goes or she goes again, and you're left behind. And we don't want to do it like that. Ours is always capability based with skills. We try to teach you skills, and for that, we bring in people who can, give you advice. But we don't want them to be too close to you. We want you to start learning how to make your own decisions. And I think what you said is that through your whole career, the learning part never stops.
Never stops.
Keeps
If
going.
you go into business and you haven't got cleverness in your little head and great ideas, if you don't have that, you shouldn't be in business.
It's definitely been a learning thing. I found I've got a really good accountant, and that was one of the things I'm glad I got from the start.
Good girl.
Because otherwise,
that is smart.
I'm like GST,
It's important,
PAYG, super, that's not my forte. So having a good accountant is definitely the best
Yes.
thing. Even if it's just yourself working for you, and it's better just to even just see projections and
To have an
all of that.
entrepreneurial accountant as well, maybe
Yeah.
that helps too at employees.
Yeah.
And then an accountant who understands what you're trying.
Yeah, looking like a business advisor, kind of like a mentor in that
Yeah.
way.
Mm.
Because I've definitely been learning all about that this past year. Before it was like I was a sole trader when I first started, just me. And then when we opened the cafe, so I was secure, I went and became a company instead. So it's not, you're not the top of the chain, you're a little bit further down, so it's not as scary or any of that. But yeah, that was learning for sure.
And 3D, about learning?
Oh, yeah, always.
Never stop doing
No,
it.
it doesn't ever stop.
Every day.
Yeah, but it's funny how things in your life, sort of reoccur, and so it's just continual process for sure. Very important.
Can I make one comment here?
Yes.
I think knowledge about what you're wanting to do and to duplicate through your staff is the most important part of a business.
Yes.
Because if you don't have them and you go and you say, have you girls done so? No. Well, it's your fault because you haven't encouraged them.
Yeah, encouragement is really important, and
It is.
also acknowledgement. People acknowledge that they're doing a good job.
My word.
Yeah.
My word.
Yeah.
They're good girls.
Are there any accountants in the room?
Yes, very much.
I think I'll just make the point leading on from Breeze that they can add a lot of value, but never let an accountant run your business.
No.
If they're focused on numbers, they're not focused on
Not growing the
what's
business.
going to
Absolutely.
No, that's very different.
be the heart of the business.
It's also a very different mindset. And that is
exactly.
not only accountants, it's in general. We get it a little bit our students too. That when you go to school, you learn a certain mindset of being right. Yeah, you got to come up with the right answer. So you get an exam and you got to say A, B, C, or D. That's the answer. Yeah, and if you say A and the answer is C, then you're wrong. Yeah, you fail. And that is not how business works. That's not how innovation works. Yeah? You don't know where you're going for a very long time. You need to experiment, and then hopefully you'll find something that makes sense. But there's no one right way of doing things, and there's a lot of people who start one business very successful, and like and have also failures at the same time that you learn from. So nobody's only successful in business, never ever, or in not-for-profits, or in whatever you're trying to do.
And if they
But
are
is
saying
life
that, they're
always
lying to you.
No, it isn't.
Life's not
There's not
always-
one formula.
No.
But accountants think it's a formula. It's just 1 + 1 = 2.
No.
That doesn't work like that. And that's a very difficult to change that mindset. If you have that mindset, it will take your time to get used to the fact that it's not, in a difficult word, causal. Yeah, it's not cause and effect. It's not like when I do this, then this happens. It doesn't work like that.
No. It's have faith and
Yes.
create a path to that.
Yeah.
Kind
I
of
think the
thing.
one thing we're all doing, we three here, as I see, is that we're working with people, for people, and giving them what people want.
Gin, cheese.
Yeah.
Gin.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Yeah, pretty good.
Success.
All in different ways.
Pretty good. Can I ask the audience if you have any questions? So if you're yes.
I'm a little bit afraid of taking a passion and making money for it and then turning around and hating it.
Would you
Of
mind
something that I've
standing up
loved.
here so your voice could carry a bit more? Sorry.
Yes.
I'm afraid of taking my passion and then putting a monetary value on it and turning it into something that I really dislike. I mean, Jan, something that you're so passionate about, how could you then put money into it and still have faith in what you were doing? I'm finding if I'm going to take something that I'm really passionate about, I don't want to dirty it by putting a value on it, if you understand what I'm saying.
The answer to putting a value, you're talking a value of self-satisfaction that you're doing what you want to do, or you're putting a value on it in a monetary sense?
In a monetary sense, I'm afraid of doing that. I have a personal value on it already and I love it,
Yes.
but I'm afraid of putting a monetary value on it.
Why are you doing that? Because you're going to bring in a partner?
Well, no, because
Like
I want to make a
investing
business
your-
out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Say that again.
because I would like to make a business out of it.
Yes, but business is starting off with a passion, the knowledge that you need to be sure that that's going to work, and then you start doing it steadily. My way was stupid because I'd done quite a lot of things, and suddenly somebody could see some opportunity and wanted to take it. invest in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I brought those in. So that was wrong, and I've had to learn from that.
Yeah.
But I knew this question would come up, but I had to stop and think myself tonight, why am I still doing what I'm doing, even though I'm not making lots of money? Because I'm doing what I love. I'm doing it because people are getting benefit, and I'm bringing people and plants together.
That's it.
I've had a lot of people say to me like, oh, I wish I was doing what you're doing, and I think like you can. Like I think with your point before when you said you would never invest more than you would be scared to lose.
Yes. Yeah,
That was something like so
Hard to
you,
lose.
yeah, that was the way I thought about it. Like I didn't quit my full-time job until I knew that I could make it work.
Yeah.
So I was still I didn't take this full-time. Like I was still working 3 days a week at a cellar door in Harndorf, like because that was the pay the bills and groceries,
Yes.
and then you had your
I did the same.
you know, like that was
Yeah.
that money, and then it's like
Yeah.
anything else was, you know, how it started to grow. So I didn't touch any of the money that the business made until I still don't really get paid. But yeah, it's, you know, it's that step that.
I think having a different view on commercialising something might be helpful in that, you know, tonight before midnight I'm lodging a tax excise return. I'm not playing with gin recipes, you know. Like running a business is not all about the passion part. And so, you know, my approach to is love what I do, don't do what I love, because you don't often get to do what you love. So just enjoy everything that you do. But I think just understanding that running a business is not just about doing that passion bit, it's about everything else as well. And it's not always all fun, and as you grow a business, your role will evolve as well. You won't always possibly be so hands-on in that role. So, you know, you might be passionate about the hands-on bit, but your role might change, and then you might go back to it years later. So there's always ebbs and flows.
And can I add to that? I'm not sure if I understood you well, but I think you may said that, you know, by doing a business you make it commercial, and that's sort of dirty because it's money involved and people get nasty and things like that. Is that sort of what you're scared of?
Kind of. I'm afraid of losing the passion for it when it has to make money.
Yeah. We work with a lot of social enterprises. Have you heard of that? Have you heard do you know what that is? A social enterprise? So they're sort of, you know, there used to be not-for-profits. Nowadays, people starting a business and they reinvest their parts of their profits, or they have a model that, you know, that they can help the cause that they're trying to support. So I give one example in Limestone Coast. We just got a woman there. She started this company called Jolly Souls. I'm not sure if anybody heard of that. Does anybody watches Gogglebox on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at the two guys on the couch. You know, the two guys. The one he always has his socks like this, and these are also Jolly socks. So she makes socks, and she sells them for charity. So you know what Cadbury used to do? You buy chocolates and then you sell them, and then you raise money. She does that with socks, and she raises a lot of money for good causes by doing that, and she's got hundreds of thousands of dollars now revenue from it. Doing really well. So you can start businesses like that, yeah, where she's now sustainable. She can grow this business because there's an income stream coming in from sustainable from sales. And that's something you may want to, you know, start thinking about. That if you do make money nowadays, you don't need to necessarily, you know, put it in the bank or invest it in coal mines or something, you know, you can do something good with it. and then you have more impact, yeah, if you do something good with it that you think is good, and you make a lot of money and you do a lot of good.
I also think if you love it enough, you won't hate it. Like it's like scary, but no, I don't think you will.
Can I just say one thing? I just want to say congratulations to you three ladies and thank you for coming tonight to share your experiences with you. And you know, you're already successful, clearly.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing a lot of is hard work, passion, and having a love for that. But also, I'm hearing the other side of it is keeping your integrity. And I think particularly, Jan, that was something that you're really the integral part of your business is you're not going to compromise on that for any monetary value. But also then the like a calculated risk. So it's kind of creative and business mind all the same side. So Two things is remaining professional and business-like and not getting too emotional.
Yeah, I'm learning that.
The other thing I guess is when you are having to rely on some level of monetary to commitment and things, I was going to ask a question for yourself, Bree, was how long was it that before you could withdraw out of the part-time work just to run your business?
How long after from when I started to when I went like full time?
Yeah, so when you can invest all your time into your dream, into your project, rather than having to do this job as well as try and do that?
I think it was when I kind of realised that the bookings and the side that was paying off was taking over it got to the point where it's just I needed to invest my full time.
Yeah.
So at that time I think my partner was working for himself and he went back to working away just that I could kind of do that myself. Because I was saying to you at the start, I'm chatting about it, it's like the banks don't like two people working for themselves when you're like, that was just one thing you had to realise, all right, we'll do this now and then we'll get there eventually kind of thing. So I think I just had to make that risk like, all right, I'll pay myself like $400 a week.
Yeah.
And then that would cover those things still. And it just meant I had to push myself a lot harder at the start. For
That was the other thing I was going to add, is all three of you are very positive. So my last question is, how important is it to maintain positive people and energy around you? Because if you've got people around you that are negative, and particularly if they're close people, or your parents, or your partner, or your children, or a good friend, what costs come in association to that if you had to cut some ties with some negative energies to pursue a positive outcome?
He's very
Yeah. So because that has an impact on day-to-day life as well, doesn't it? And when you talked about like the hardship on business, I'm a very creative person. I get told all the time I'm a dreamer, but I work in a very practical banking finance industry, so where it's very regulated, and it's yin and yang for me all the time. So I've got the practical part of me saying I'm getting too old. It's dollars and cents. You still got to meet the mortgage every week or fortnight. And the other side is saying, when are you going to start doing something for yourself? You work ridiculous hours. You're not doing what you love doing. You should be out doing something for people. So it's that real,
I found
I'm really practical and she's creative and we're like that. So at home I'm like, we've got to pay the bills, but then she's like,
I'm not like, oh well.
You've got two people on both of them in one person.
sometimes it's hard, but it's very hard.
Going to your the point about being surrounded by positive people, I found I had with maybe the group of people I surround myself with all the time now. Most of them are studying what they want to do in the future, and I sometimes find it quite hard being but this is what I want to do. Hospitality has always been the thing that I've loved, and when I somehow just make this full loop from working at Glory Jeans at school to I've come back to a cafe. It was quite it's 10 years this loop that I did, and I found that got really hard for me a couple of months ago at the cafe because I was surrounded by people that didn't really care as much as I did, and you're there, you always care the most about your thing anyway. But I found that quite hard because they're always all studying to be something else, and then it was created quite a toxic environment. Not just. I think now I've got a really good positive group of people. I'm there every day, and they're loving it. So.
Did you find that those toxic people fueled you though? To some degree, I mean, yes, you can let their kind of toxicity kind of detract from what you're doing, but in some ways it's almost a compliment, because
But then at times I guess some days I didn't want to go there. And it was made me get quite frustrated. And then I think they're wonderful people all individually, but I think when you're in this toxic environment, it can easily just create. And then now I'm there every day. Even today was my admin day, and I'm in there doing emails rather than before I'd be at home with my laptop and my dogs. All right, I'll do emails now. And now I want to be there every day, so it's quite a flip in what's only a few months.
You've got to watch for any form of toxicity between staff and the rest of it. You don't just let them. I was asked the other day, why do you bother with him? This is somebody in our garden, and I said, because he's a human being and he's making my garden look better, so I've got to put up with a few things. Okay, so not everybody's perfect, we're not perfect, so it's something, if you're thinking of moving out of what you're doing, are you nervous? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
I think my negative factors in I'm middle aged, so I don't think that is a major negative. But I still have young children. I still have a mortgage. I still have commitments, and my husband is very cautious, and
It's your husband that's very cautious.
Oh yes, so he gets frustrated sometimes because he thinks, well, how are you ever going to do that? So
Drip feed the idea.
Or you just go and do it, and then he either still is there, is not there, or whatever. But same as with work, and so obviously in the environment that I'm working in, there's some major changes.
And
No, I mean that positively,
Right.
But major changes in the banking finance industry. So we're seeing staff redundancies, we're seeing a change in culture. It's a really toxic working environment.
Yes.
Don't know which one I'm working out, but that's a very challenging work-life balance scenario.
Can you change your job?
It's not that easy.
No.
No, it's not.
I mean, I think a lot of us probably started, I had another business, my husband was employed full-time, my son was employed full-time, and we thought we'd open Saturday and Sunday. And so you can still keep your job and do something on the side to start it, and then as the business grew, as with you, Bree, my husband gave up his job, and my son's given up his job, and it's just.
That's
I think
very
everyone's
important.
time is different, and I know I'm feeling. That's why I'm here, because there's lots of change going on, and I'm feeling that confidence level's coming back, and I'm being more creative in my thought process. But I'm still, I guess, you've got to protect what you need to do. So I'm thinking accountants and lawyers are probably going to be really vitally important. The key factors, what you I picked up on is confidence, work ethic, integrity, passion. But the flip side is calculated risk. What was the other ones we talked about? So it's just all right. So where to from here, sort of thing.
Start something on the side.
Baby steps.
Yes.
You don't have to give up everything.
That is easier than ever before. Huh? So in the past it was almost impossible. People would tell you, you go full or you don't, right? That's it. And no way back. And now that's what's really changed. A lot of startups start on the side from a couple of years. So
That's how mine.
social media.
4 days a week.
Yes,
instead of
that's how you
5.
start
Yeah,
too,
that's
right?
mine completely.
So very much changed how you start up now.
Yeah.
Mine was just a hobby to like.
It's easier with online. That makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Before it was not possible. But now with the online businesses, you can start easier from home, and that's where we see in lots of regions where we were. So in Limestone Coast and Ross and in Byron as well. A lot of females start businesses now. A majority of participants are female, which is unusual because in Adelaide. Venture Dorm is the opposite. You usually get more males doing this. But in the region we see a lot of females, and it's quite remarkable for us to see that as well happening. We don't know yet exactly why, but we can have some guesses, but we don't know.
Girl power.
Well, I think,
You can negotiate part-time hours as well, go 4 days a week or something.
gentlemen, sort of
Yes, two gentlemen. So I'll start with the accountant.
Good evening, everyone. I have a question for the panel. I just want to know if you have tips on how you stand out from other businesses which might have similar business ideas as you have.
Great question.
That's a really good question. Our distillery, our promise at the beginning to ourselves was we will never compromise on quality and service. And, it doesn't seem like much, but service is just so highly valued. And and you don't always get it. And my other business is extremely competitive, in an extremely competitive field, and we stand out because of service and integrity. So just don't compromise on what you believe to be right. That's my.
It's all to do with people skills and understanding and trusting. And I was wrong. I told you two issues, very bad discussions about that afterwards. You shouldn't have trusted them. I did trust them. I was wrong. So I've had to learn. But just moving from the industry of finance into a business that you're talking about, if you have integrity in your company and you have all this passion for it, and we've all got passion for what we want to do, you want to maintain that. And people come in as one group, did try to come in with me, and change things in my formulations,
Mm.
I was devastated.
Mm.
So that's not the way to go. You've got to be more, I think, dependent on your own features that you want people to receive constantly, like your gin and your service and my product and all that.
I even find like, for me, I think just for my business, social media plays a massive part. Like I talk like it's me. It's not like today we have, I would rant on a post. If it's, it's always, it's just from me. It's not ever going to be, so it used to be Gather and Grace by Brie and it was only by me, but then I figured that like pigeonholed too much and I could never expand. It was only ever by me. So then that's when it became, it's now like gatherandgrace.co because it means it's like a company, it's a group of people and it means that I can get other people involved and that kind of thing too. So I think it's, social media does play a big part in gin too and like Jeunesse now too, like having like the brand and the voice, that's a big part, I think. So always making...
I've got history too, dear, being around a while.
Yes, please. Question.
Mentoring can cover a vast spectrum from being a good listener and someone you can vent to, etc., to something quite formalised and structured, giving more specific advice from an area. I haven't heard any mentoring mentioned, but I wonder if you think there may be use for mentoring what you're doing, and if so, where would you find that on the spectrum that might be the most useful?
I have never had a mentor, but I associate with other business people and I like having conversations about business. So that's me personally, but I definitely have heard of stories of people that value that and get a lot from it. And there's...
I've never had a traditional mentor either, but I've got maybe just some friends that like one guy, Sam, who I used to work for, and then he's been very supportive of like ideas and growth and that kind of thing. So I wouldn't call him a mentor, I'd be more like a friend that does the same thing. And he's helped a lot in shaping that way the company's grown. But then through growing up, like my grandfather was really innovative, and he was quite he lives up in Byron too actually, and he kind of never just thought of ideas. It wasn't always like by the book, and I think maybe that helped me in the way I thought of things differently. But then I mean his so I don't know, I think that idea just being the creative side is what kind of might shape the way that your thoughts occur and that kind of thing.
Asking me about mentoring, there were no mentors in my day because nobody had done what I'd done. And now I'm the mentor. I mentor people. And I love sharing the knowledge and helping, and I do.
Yes, I think that's a very positive exchange where you
it is.
build up
It's
experiences
very gratifying.
and just sharing them because you've been to the top of the mountain, you've seen that view.
And I slid down a bit sometimes.
Well,
I'll climb up again.
So good, and that's what we say in our programs as well, that especially Venture Dorm has, as I think I said it earlier, that the kind of traditional mentoring where you have a very close relationship to somebody who can help you move your business further is in the early stages not what we're looking for. We're looking for stories for people with experience to help listen to our participants and then help them with some good feedback. That's the most important part in the early stage. We feel we don't want mentors to take over.
No, that's what they try to do.
They do too, and that is so. Mentors at your stage could be very helpful if you wanted to grow further. So what we're saying is a mentor at this stage helps you get closer to markets and funding, and that's the most important part of a mentor. They get you closer to markets or to funding, either one of them. And you get closer to markets through social media already, and you don't want funding. So at that stage, you don't want any funding right? You don't want investment yet. So that's what funding is about. So that's where you have your most important role of a mentor at this growth stage. But before that, I would more call it coaches or people who have a hearing ear or listen to you or
Just discussions.
give you feedback
Discussions
on
are key.
their experience,
Yeah.
what they've learned, and you learn from them so much, and that's always very important. And that's what we bring into our programs as well. So we bring in a lot of people like you who have experience, and then we're doing fast dating, as we call it. So you're going around the room, speed dating, and you go around the room, you have one-on-ones, and you tell your idea, and you get feedback.
One of the things that I did many years ago, and this was because I was reaching out to, I was a young mother, three children, and there were a lot of young mums, and I used to go to their homes and we'd sit and have a talk, and what they said to me gave me a good guideline on what more things I could do for them. So they're in a way mentoring and saying, well, this is what we need. Yeah.
Definitely having a good network around you
Yes.
is really valuable. Like,
Yes.
you know, you have a business issue and you go, who can I ring about that? And your network, I think that is really
Yes.
important, and you support each other to do that.
As long as confidentiality is so.
Yeah, well, it's just a question about, you know, what database you use for this, or who's a good IP lawyer, or, you know, what's, you know, have you ever had this in the insurance, you know,
Yes.
policy? Should I take director's insurance? Shouldn't I? You know, it's
And
those
that's
sorts
what
of
we
business.
bring as well. I like we've been doing this for so long now in Flinders that we bring a lot of that network to the programs, and so many people
It's really practical.
who can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands on.
One final question from someone. Yes.
So you start your business and you're putting all your time into it, money is short, and then you realise you're at the stage where you've either got to stay small or employ people. How big a decision was that?
Always.
It's a very big decision.
Was there ever any thought, no, I won't, I'll stay small? I'll just.
You're directing this to me?
Oh, all three of you
All
actually,
three.
sorry, Jane.
No, that's okay. Okay, you're looking at me, and
Yeah. I can't see you down there.
She's a bit cross-eyed.
I'm actually
That's
talking
cool.
over there.
That's
Sorry, Jane, to you first, maybe.
Okay, well, I wasn't ambitious. I was just, the only ambition I had was to reach out to people and see if they liked what I was doing. And that's when I had these little groups and things. I'm in an older era. There was no internet. There was none of all this connection. It was all face to face with people. Even now, I will not deal with my clients. Even though I finished my clinic, they still ring me, but we connect that way. So if they need help, they ring me, and there's no charge. But it's not something that I can relate to in any shape or form. You girls have had much more idea because you're much more with it now.
Oh,
than I am. Much more.
that was one of the biggest things. Like I didn't think I could probably pay myself. How am I going to be able to? And you can't just employ one person if you're opening a cafe that you need 3 staff on at all times. Like I was stupidly scared about that. Okay, but then I think I saved up that little bit that I had the cash flow to cover the first month. And it's like, well, God, if it's not making money, if people aren't coming in after a month, it wasn't a very good idea. So, no, I think employing someone's scary, but I had to go that way. Otherwise, I couldn't just stay like that.
Yeah.
It was, it was either that or just
Good idea of bringing people on board is to put them on as a casual for 3 months. That's what I do. And if they have got the ethics and the principles that we want, and they enjoy working with us, why wouldn't I keep them on?
Yeah.
We're just going through that at the moment with a couple of people in the garden. The garden's just as important as the lab.
Yeah, it's really scary, absolutely, because, you know, you've also got someone else's career in your hands, you know, and you don't
Their
want to set
livelihood.
someone up for failure. You want to give them an opportunity that's going to be successful, and you know, what if it does crash after 3 months, you can't afford to pay them and you have to sack someone, and what's going to happen to your reputation and all these sorts of things. It is really, really scary. But ultimately, you know, unless it's a really rare business, which I haven't seen, you have to employ people because you can't do it all yourself. And if you're sick, then who knows the bit that you cannot do it. So you just have to jump and plan and as much as you can and have faith. And also, you know, employing people actually frees you up to do a lot more stuff that can develop your business. So it's a really good.
You focus your time on different things. So say something that I used to think was like, right, this is my only way I can go about it. Now I'm like, oh, I can now do other, maybe like think of other event ideas, and then think of other like ways to focus the business. Like where I used to, at the moment, I've got everything is people go to my website and they order online via an inquiry form, and so I email them back and forth, and then the event might get booked that way. Whereas now I'm getting the website redone so people can just order it directly online, and it comes through me for like the confirmation side, and it's not, sometimes it might be 10 emails back and forth and it doesn't get confirmed. So that's also like a admin time that is a really big thing. Like you have to work out what your time's worth, and if you know, if you're employing someone means you can do a lot more emails and book a lot more things or respond to a lot more inquiries, and you have time to make more things, whatever. That's the
That's the upside.
yeah. Yeah, so it might look like it's a cost, but really it's a beneficial one.
You have to spend money to make money.
Yes.
Good stuff. Good.
Yeah.
Well, unless there's one more burning question, I would like us to all thank our 3 panel members and give them a hand of applause.